Hello, my name is Mackenzie Kunzman, and the moral issue I chose to discuss is unpaid internships. We call them stepping stones, but for too many students, unpaid internships are actually stumbling blocks. On one hand, we're told they build skills, and yes, they do, but at what price? When internships are unpaid, they become a setback and are accessible only to those who can afford to work for free, which violates the justice as fairness theory. Worse, the system often turns into exploitation disguised as gaining experience. As scholars Zwinlinski and Bergeson point out, demanding long, grueling hours for zero pay isn't mentorship, it's abuse. We have to stop viewing interns as a budget-saving tool. Philosophers Johnson and Curitin remind us every human being must be treated as an end in themselves, never as a mere means to a profit margin. It's time we stop the exploitation and start respecting the dignity of our interns. If we want to understand why unpaid internships are morally failing, we have to look at the exchange. In a fair workplace, there is a simple, honest pact. You provide your talent, your time, and your effort, and the company provides a wage. It's a balanced trade. But look at the unpaid internship. The company reaps the profit, they get the work done, and they save their labor costs. But the intern gets nothing. That isn't education, it's an unfair trade. Companies rely on a student's desperation to fill their resume or meet graduation requirements, and they weaponize that need. Zulinski and Ferguson point out that is a literal definition of taking unfair advantage. If we look at this through the lens of Marx's theory of surplus value, the situation is even grimier. Labor powers require basic resources, the ability to eat, sleep, and return to work the next day, by refusing to compensate an intern. Shows that they do not value them as an end in themselves, but instead to increase profit, which leads to another moral obligation, human dignity. More fundamental than a paycheck is human dignity. Immanuel Kant gave us a golden rule for ethics. Never treat a person as a mere tool to get what you want. You must treat them as an end in themselves, a human being with goals, needs, and a life of their own. But when a company offers an unpaid internship, they are effectively saying, you are a resource for our profit, not a person to be invested in. Johnson and Curitin point out when you refuse to compensate someone, you are telling them that they have zero market value. That doesn't just hurt their wallet, it chips away at their sense of worth. Consider the test of a universal law. If every company stopped paying their staff, the economy would collapse. Society would grind to halt. We know the system is unsustainable, yet companies carve out a special exception for interns just to save a few dollars. That isn't just a bad business model, it's a moral failure. It is time we stop treating students like disposable line items and start treating them with dignity that they are owed. Finally, we have to talk about the core issue, fairness. John Rawls, a politician of philosophy, argue that in just society, everyone, regardless of their background or bank account, should have a fair shot at a career. But look at the reality of the internship market. We have created a cost of entry. If you are a student from a lower income background, an unpaid internship isn't a stepping stone. It is an impossibility. You simply cannot afford to work for free. By making internships unpaid, we are effectively telling talented students that the door to their future is locked unless they have their wealth to pay for a key. And if you want to know how extreme this is, consider the perspective of philosopher Wiener. He views your time and your skills as your own personal property. When a company uses your labor to build their profit but refuses to pay you, they aren't just skipping a paycheck. They are, by definition, committing theft. They are stealing your labor. When we gatekeep these vital career resources behind an unpaid barrier, we aren't creating meritocracy. We are creating a cycle of inequality that shuts the door on millions of capable people before they even get a chance to knock. Now, to be fair, we have to look at the other side. Why do students take these roles? Rothschild argues that an internship serves as a critical bridge between the classroom and the workforce. They offer something you can't always get from a textbook guidance, hands-on training, and most importantly, a foot in the door. From this perspective, it's framed as a mutually beneficial exchange. The company gains assistance and the student gains a competitive edge for their future career. For many, the hope is that this temporary sacrifice is the necessary investment to secure a stable, well-paying job later on. It's about building a network, gaining professional maturity, and ultimately turning that internship into a permanent career. Ultimately, we cannot just talk about these ethical failures. We have to fix the system that allows them to exist. It starts with our laws. If a company extracts value from an intern's work, the law must demand compensation. We need to stop treating labor as a gift and start treating it as what it is, a contribution that deserves to be paid. But the responsibility doesn't stop at the corporate office. It extends to our universities. You cannot require an internship for graduation while ignoring the financial barriers that lock out hardworking students. It is time for institutions to step up, partner with companies to create funding, offer grants, and ensure that internships are bridge builders and not gatekeepers. We have a choice. We can't continue to let students be exploited, or we can build a system that respects human dignity. Stop settling for a pay-to-play career path. Let's demand a future where hard work is compensated, where fairness is a standard, and where every student, regardless of their bank account, is treated with the dignity that they truly deserve. These are my references. Thank you.